small SUV segment, I have to say that I was very, very excited at the prospect of test driving the brand new 2021 Ford Bronco Sports. Yes, this is the mini version, if you will, of the real Bronco. But what I've discovered today and over the last few days is that this is actually a real Bronco. And what I find mostly interesting about it is that Ford made very specific concessions in order to make it a Bronco, as opposed to make it an off-road-like version of the Escape. Now the word Escape, the name Escape, is going to come up a number of times in this review. There is no way to avoid that. This Bronco Sport, in fact, is based on the same platform as the Ford Escape, but there are considerable and very important differences, both for good and for less good. So as per the usual, we'll do a little tour of this very handsome small SUV, and then we'll go for a little drive. And this is another vehicle that I find myself absolutely loving, but far from in love with. Let's do the walk. So you'll have to forgive me for the temptation was just too great. I found, well, I didn't find, because this is my usual video spot, a little bit of very deep and wet snow, and I just had to work my way through it, which is why the wheels are now full of snow. However, it's little situations like that that make me appreciate the 2021 Ford Bronco Sport that much more. That and a little bit of other driving situations. But let's just get right down to it. We can start right away with styling. I can't really fault anything. Well, look, if I had to, I'd have to say that the front grille is a little bit weird. Maybe not straight on, but somehow on an angle like this. You see, you can hear it too in my voice. I'm kind of trying really hard, because there is absolutely visually nothing wrong with this. My truck also happens to be a Badlands right there, so it's got a little bit of extra kit. The safari style roof is fantastic for all the right reasons. My tester also has these, well, somewhere stuffed behind the snow, 17-inch wheels, which are very nice. The color is kind of cool, but it's already played out. It was cool about 12, 13 years ago when Audi brought it out. Again, I'm struggling to find things visually wrong with this thing. Apologies for the wind, because I can feel it on my face. We can talk about pricing right now. So in Canada and the US, there are 4 trims. There is the base, which starts at $32,199 in Canada, $26,820 in the US. Then there's the Big Bend, and this might be a comment more for Ford Canada than any other reason. That's supposed to be the best-selling version of the SUV. It's $34,199 in Canada, $28,320 in the US. However, all of the Bronco Sports that I'm seeing on the web, reading about, looking at, they're all Badlands for the press fleets, because obviously it's got one element that severely or seriously differentiates it from the other versions of the Bronco Sports. There's the Outer Banks as well, and then there's the top line, as I've mentioned, the Badlands, which is $40,199 Canada, $32,820 US. Now, base price, well, actually, well, yeah, with the base model, you do get that 3-cylinder engine. Yeah, that's why I'm thinking we're all driving Badlands. All-wheel drive is standard. The Sync 3 8-inch screen, Wi-Fi, hotspot, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, all that is included in the base SUV. Now, if you decide to go all the way up to the Badlands, well, you get that 2-liter that I mentioned, All-wheel drive now has a very cool twin clutch setup with a locking differential. It's got skid plates, an off-road suspension, and I have to admit, I think it's worth it, definitely. Look, I'm gonna go profile and we're just gonna go over, I said the word escape was gonna come up a number of times. So what Ford has done is sacrificed a little bit of overall interior space, despite what they might say, in order to make it a little bit more off-road worthy. First thing to know is that the wheelbase on the Bronco Sport is about 40 millimeters shorter than that of the Escape. Overall length, the Bronco Sport is 200 millimeters shorter. If you are to compare, actually, let's just go trunk-wise, for the trunk, I mean. Overall width, about the same, and obviously, well, this thing's a lot taller. One of the coolest features. Oops. I mean, it's not that it's useless, but it's just absolutely cool, and I love it. Yes, it's got the separate glass that you get in all versions. Door. Okay, so trunk space. Liftover is fairly high, but it really works. It's all rugged. It's all super hardcore stuff. This is kind of a partial shelf that actually converts into a table. You can see the legs right there. If you're not using it, well, you kind of have to slide it on top here. It's a little bit annoying, but overall trunk space, according to Ford, is about 920 liters, which is, well, depending on Ford's numbers, which ones you use, I'd say on average about the same as the Escapes. But in fact, the Escapes numbers are larger because I think the trunk is a little bit deeper, but obviously you have height going for you right here. Ford says you can fit a couple of bicycles back here with the right stuff. One way or another, that's a good sized trunk. It really, really works. And I love the details, including the shelf and this rugged tire trap type of deal thing going on. And good thing, it's actually fairly stiff, so it doesn't rattle. However, I don't know, maybe in a few years it will. All right, I've said too much as far as that's concerned. Now, the biggest concession that Ford has made is back here. First of all, okay, the doors, I unfortunately don't recall if this is the case on the Escape, but the opening is very narrow, actually making putting the baby seats back here a little bit of a chore because it just barely fits across. And that's what I'm trying to get at. This is not for a young family, at least not mine with two baby seats. First of all, look at the amount of space. This is very, very short as far as distance is concerned. And if you look at the other side, my son who's a little older and a little taller, look how far forward I have to slide the seats in order for his feet to not rub constantly against the seat back. Another thing, contrary to the Ford Escape, the seat back here does not recline, which is a wonderful feature for families, for baby seats. Getting in and out actually is really cool because it's a nice high-ish step. There's also a storage bin below the seat cushion here, which obviously if you have kids, two of them, and you need to use baby seats, well, it's kind of useless, but it's cool when you can use it. But you did kind of get a glimpse also of what it's like to have a Badlands. So you have this cool leather and suede seats. They're actually fairly comfortable. I'm going to slide in because I can feel the wind increasing. Now the differences on the inside here are very notable. There are some similarities. The steering wheel looks very much like the one, obviously with an exception, in the Escape. But essentially everything else is very, very different and much nicer and more attractive. So there's your 8-inch screen, which has Sync 3. It's got absolutely everything in it. Sync 3 is working quite well for me this week. No complaints. I love the storage. The storage, very simple, straightforward HVAC controls. Oh, should I even bother saying anything about that? I don't know. In the Escape, the wheel works. In a Bronco, I kind of want a shifter. But otherwise, more storage. It's fantastic. Oh, well, while I'm down here, go over any terrain modes. Very nice. I'll just show you what happens when you select the different ones. Through the snow a few minutes ago, I used not Sport, obviously not Eco. I don't even know why that exists. Who uses Eco? I'd love a comment on that, actually. I used Mud and Ruts, figuring that because the Oh, it's too slow to react. Because the ESP is disengaged, I could have a little bit of fun. I'll get there. We're going the wrong way. Here we go. Is it? No, wrong. Yes, please. Yes, okay, ESP is off. That works. There's your locking diff button there too. Four-wheel drive lock as well, which is automatically engaged when you use this drive mode. One of my absolute favorite things about this is the view, the visibility. Well, actually the view and the visibility. Look at the hood. Do you see the hood? Look how vast, and look at those bumps. So absolutely cool. Visibility, yeah, it's kind of a little bit obstructed here, but you're sitting so square and so high that it really, really works. But here's another shot. This is my actual point of view. It's not as wide as my eyes can do it, so I'll just switch it over like this. Look at that. Those bulges in the hood, they give you the impression that you're driving a Bronco, an old school Bronco. Fit and finish is nice, much nicer. The materials than in the Escape. It does not even compare. Maybe Ford took some notes and decided to avoid making bad material decisions for their expected super popular Bronco. Anyhow, I've said so much, but I think now is the time to go for a drive. So I'm gonna go back into normal. Going the wrong way all the time. Well, that's wrong with me. There we go. Okay, off we go. Okay, so a little bit of the driving I've done that I may show on this video is the access road that I usually take. I look small in this, a lot of headroom. Is the access road that I take to usually get to the mild off-roading spots. And well, that's about as far as I got because we're going through some major thaw at the moment. And just beyond is extremely muddy. I would be that guy to get the Bronco Sport stuck in mud, and well, I don't want to be that guy. The key element, and I touched on it a little bit, the fact that all other versions of the Bronco Sport are equipped, other than the Badlands, are equipped with a 3-cylinder 1.5 liter EcoBoost engine is one of the things that's we just got out of the access road. That's why it's shaking. It probably will shake some more, but hey, we'll see. It's probably one of the main reasons why I'm a little bit buggered that I'm driving the Badlands, although I am having fun, admittedly. Is put ESP back on, normal drive mode. Okay. Is because that 3-cylinder in the Ford Escape that I drove a little over a year ago was, I don't know. Do I really want to say terrible? Do I really mean that it was that terrible? Yeah, it was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. It was noisy, packed with vibrations. It had plenty of power, like, I forget, 190 pound-feet of torque, 181 horsepower, something like that. But the fuel consumption numbers don't justify sacrificing. The road is about to get bad again. Oh, really bad. Sacrificing, well, the extra power, the fuel economy, and all of that. It's just not worth it. And the fact that 3 out of the 4 versions of the Bronco Sport are equipped with that engine, I mean, that's the main reason why you would buy a Badlands and completely avoid the others, in my opinion. The road is really bad. And hopefully in about a minute we'll get out of this. Look, in this Badlands, the 2-liter EcoBoost turbo engine 4-cylinder is well, it's a bomb. It's the bomb by comparison to the 3-cylinder and a lot of other engines in this segment. 250 horsepower, 277 pound-feet of torque at 3,000 RPM. Excuse me. 8-speed automatic transmission, which actually has an oil cooler in the Badlands. So that's another indication that the Badlands means business. Also, it has a bespoke off-road tuned suspension with larger shock bodies in the back. I mean, look, what little I was able to do as far as off-roading is concerned, it's very, very convincing, and I know that a number of other journalists will obviously have more opportunities to take their Badlands off-roading, but I am thoroughly convinced that there are none to few, somewhere in between, that are able to match this off-roading, and that's key. Because if you want a Bronco Sport, make sure that's why you want it. The other reason would be styling. Excuse me again. Because compared to the Escape, which was another thing I didn't like about it, this thing just looks absolutely fantastic. Now if I just go back to the 3-cylinder versus the 4-cylinder, in this, you'll do about 9 liters per 100 kilometers with the 3-cylinder, and it goes up to about 10. I had to double check that. To about 10 with the 2-liter. So that means in the real world, it is not improbable that your 3-cylinder will consume as much, if not more, than the 4-cylinder. So there's no economy, there's no scale of savings to justify the 3-cylinder. Otherwise, look, the ride is fantastic. It may have something to do with the oversized tires on this. Now, normally they're available 29-inch tires, but this has winter tires, 65 profile and a 17-inch wheels, so the ride is beautiful. There's damping, there's give, except on the horrible road I was just on. So that's wonderful. I mean, the chassis and the platform for both the Escape and the Bronco Sport, it's very, very nice, I have to say. The brakes feel quite good. There is one thing, though, I don't know if you're like me, but I do 95% of my braking with my left foot. And I don't know if it's because I have to sit so close in order to give my daughter some legroom in the back, that I find that the brake pedal is way off to the right as opposed to being closer to the middle. So I'm actually having to twist my ankle and my knee in order to brake with my left foot. And that's just a note. But otherwise, brake pedal response is good. Steering is, well, it's just completely numb. But it does what it has to do. I don't even know if steering input is relevant on 95% of the cars that are being sold today. Anyhow, but look, the bottom line is, if you want a Bronco Sport, or if you're shopping for a Bronco Sport, it's because you want a Bronco Sport. It's just important to know that if you do have 2 kids like I do, you're not gonna like the limited interior space, especially in the second row. If you're anywhere over 5 feet 9 or 10 inches tall like I am, then there is no way they'll have room in the second row. Trunk space is decent, but look, that's about it. That's all you really need to know. It's capable off-road. It looks fantastic. Will it be reliable? Yeah, that's a funny thing I'm kind of going through right now, but right now it's neither here nor there. This thing, for the space reasons and the family man reasons, I'm not in love with it, but I really do love it. That makes sense, right?